Gentlemen, good afternoon. When we introduced the Sierra in the Netherlands in September 1982, the car generated more public interest and positive press reaction than any other Ford model ever launched in the Netherlands. Sales results, however, remained below our expectations. And one of the main reasons for this was that, in spite of all newspaper and magazine advertising, most prospects did not realize how good the Sierra really was as far as comfort, roominess and fun to drive were concerned. Therefore, we decided to bring the car right to the customer by organizing 10 regional demonstration shows geographically spread all over Holland, and during which the customer could freely test drive the Sierra. This video film will give you a general idea how these shows were organized.
The purpose of the Sierra Show is to provide the prospective client with the opportunity to take a reasonably lengthy test drive in the Sierra model of his or her choice without any obligation. It is obvious that in organizing 10 regional shows to be held in a tent, a number of important factors have to be considered and arrangements made accordingly. The most important of all is how much money do we have at our disposal for these events. After discussions, the sum of $54,000 is proposed as a budget. A second important factor is how many members of staff will be required and how many people will be made available. Before this question can be answered satisfactorily, a plan of operation needs to be drawn up. Our aim is to provide 200 to 250 test drives at each one-day show. The most suitable day is obviously a Saturday. That's when the most people have sufficient time to spare. Budgetary restrictions held us to only 10 shows in the Netherlands, and it was thus obvious that we wouldn't obtain blanket coverage of the whole of the country. We tried to choose towns throughout the country that could be considered as regional centers and had at least 80 to 100,000 inhabitants. The outside consultancy bureau in charge of organizing the shows is requested to arrange for the necessary permit for the tent with the local authorities involved, who will then indicate what sites are available. These should be assessed by Ford staff using criteria such as ease of access by private and public transport, parking facilities, and whether they are widely known locations or not. A tent of 800 square meters was chosen because in itself it is a great attraction, it is simple to transport, and can be erected on the most easily reached site. It is important to place the responsibility for fitting out the tent and providing the catering facilities in the hands of a reputable professional organization. If this is done, then they must be fully informed about the aims of the show. As a rule, putting up the tent begins on the Thursday morning, and this is completed within 4 hours. Fitting out the tent with its decor, the cars, children's amusements, and the catering facilities takes about 10 hours. The Ford Sierras for the test drive are brought in on haulaways, and it is important that these arrive at the site in convoy in the early part of the Friday afternoon for a number of reasons. Their arrival must suit the planning schedule for fitting out the tent, and the maximum impact on the public is obtained by riding in convoy through the town where the show is to take place. It is essential to arrange for round-the-clock security from the moment a start is made on erecting the tent, and as long as the cars are parked at the site. During the show itself, 2 security guards must be on duty to prevent unaccompanied children from entering. On the Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, before the big day, teaser ads are put in the local press. In these, a well-known television personality, the Netherlands used Ron Bromstede, announces the show and gives details of the various attractions. On the Friday, a full-page advert appears in the weekly papers that every household in the region receives. In addition, eye-catching publicity material will be on display at the site, such as a small barrage balloon, Ford flags, and banners. The tent will be decorated with silhouettes of the Sierra. The test cars will be decorated with the Sierra Testtournee logo. A number of special Ford models will be on view to the public in front of the tent entrance, such as a Sierra XR4i, a Sierra 5-door van, and an Escort RS, sponsored by Ford Credit. One of the main eye-catchers in the tent is the so-called Miss Panorama Sierra. This Sierra, especially redesigned by the leading Dutch interior designer Jan des Bouvry, will be presented to the winner of the Miss Panorama Beauty Contest. Panorama, which is one of the country's leading family magazines, holds this contest each year, and it causes considerable excitement countrywide. The show begins at 9 o'clock and finishes at about 5:30. For the manning of the various stands, we arrived at a figure of 24. Of course, the merchandising department does not have this many people available, and for this reason, the services of an outside hostess and catering company and security guards need to be employed. How is the prospective client received on entering the tent? Suppose a family with 2 children arrives. First of all, they go to counter number 1. The man or his wife presents his or her driving license, and a photocopy is made of it. The license is then returned to its owner, together with a test card, which should be filled in giving his or her name and address and present make and model of car. The family is then conducted to the demo car by one of the hostesses and there receives the necessary driving instructions. To prevent the car keys being lost or mislaid, they are attached to the steering column with a wire. If the children don't want to accompany their parents during the test drive, they can remain in the tent and join in various activities such as a play corner, an artificial swimming pool filled with plastic balls, baking and eating pancakes, Punch and Judy, and Atari computer games. They can also take part in the quiz organized by the television personality, Ron Bromsteder, or just sit and watch. When the car returns from the test drive, parking attendants are available to direct the traffic as necessary. They report the car's arrival to counter number 1 using their walkie-talkies to ensure its rapid use on the next test drive. After the test drive, the questionnaire has to be filled in. When this is completed, it should be handed in at counter number 2 in the middle of the tent. This counter is also the information desk, and it is here that any questions the driver may have can be answered. The driver receives an information package on handing in the completed questionnaire. This package contains brochures on the Sierra range, price lists, a list of Ford dealers and their addresses, lapel badges and a sun visor, and a music cassette. The visitors can then examine the different Ford models exhibited in detail and address any inquiries they may have to the Ford staff present. After this, they can sit and enjoy a drink and a snack at their leisure or take part in the quiz if they wish. The dealers will receive the addresses of all the visitors to the show who live in their area and can then get to work with their follow-up campaigns. It is expected that in the long term, concrete orders will result from the show. An analysis of the answers to the questionnaire has shown that, on average, 75% of the people who have taken advantage of the offer to test drive the Sierra without any obligation owned a car in the same range but manufactured by our competitors. They found this an ideal way in which to examine the features that the Sierra has to offer. It was extremely gratifying to learn from the analysis that the Sierra was considered to be a roomy and comfortable vehicle, and a number of dealers subsequently reported some sales directly related to the show.
Gentlemen, our Sierra demo campaign has just come to an end, and we can conclude now that without any hesitation that this program was very, very successful. We had initially forecast an attendance of 2,500 people per show, and actually we averaged 4,500 visitors. And versus a forecast of 250 test drives per day, we actually reached an average of 500 demo drives per show. In addition, I could say that all those people not only became better acquainted with the Sierra, but they also left our tent with the conviction that Ford is a very lively and dynamic company.